Nice to have you with us.
This week, we celebrate Richard Dawson's birthday, and I should know, I'm his son, Gary. My dad was born in a small town called Gosport, England, and joined the Merchant Navy at 14, where he started boxing. After the Navy, he took to the stage, and soon was starring on the hit series Hogan's Heroes. After 6 seasons as a comedy POW, Dad joined the Match Game cast until he was offered a hosting gig on Mark Goodson's new show, Family Feud. My dad passed away in 2012, but he would have been so proud that Feud is still going strong. Happy birthday, Dad, from Buzzer and me.
Will you take me home, please, Mr. Ludden?
A national treasure. Her TV career of 80 years spanned longer than any others. The First Lady of game shows. As Sue Ann Nivens, she was icky sweet to sweet perfection. As Rose Nyland, her terminal naivete was interminably hilarious. Ageless, tireless, she was a true icon and one of the most beloved entertainers of all time. Cozy TV remembers Betty White.
It happened this past Friday. The death of Betty White, the beloved comedian, just 2 weeks shy of her 100th birthday. With Mo Rocca, we look back in laughter.
By the time I got to high school, the kids had made up this really mean nickname for me just because I had hairy legs.
What'd they call you?
Rose with the hairy legs.
As long as there's been TV, Betty White's been on it. As she told Katie Couric,
if you have one good series, you know, it's a blessing. 2 good series is unusual. 3 is, where do you get privileges like that? I taste it every minute.
That's why you're always avoiding me, because you know if you get too close, you're afraid the little pilot light of desire that flickers within you might turn your whole oven on.
beginning in 1973, White portrayed happy homemaker / man-eater Sue Ann Nivens on The Mary Tyler Moore Show.
She was an obvious choice because she's so gifted. She was not an obvious choice because she's antithetical to the character.
James L. Brooks was the show's co-creator.
Oh, my poor baby.
There's a great bit where Sue Ann pulls out a collapsed souffle, and then she closes the oven door with her knee.
I just remembered it as you said it, yeah. She was inventive. I think there was less direction of her than almost anybody. She had it all. I think she could have been a tremendous dramatic actress if she wanted to.
In 1985, Betty White did a 180 and played lovably dim-witted Rose Nyland on The Golden Girls.
I should have said no to the Miss St. Olaf beauty pageant. It was 1951. That was the first year they let humans enter, too.
And in 2010, White co-starred with Wendy Malick in the TV Land series Hot in Cleveland.
Canoga Falls is naming the town square after me.
Wow, that's great.
Oh, did Canoga Falls lose a bet or something?
I turned 60 on Hot in Cleveland when we were working together, and she was on the cusp of her 90th at the time. And I looked at her life and thought, oh my God, there's a whole other act ahead of me.
White's career in television predated television itself. Months before the medium was introduced to the public at the 1939 World's Fair, 17-year-old Betty appeared on an experimental transmission in Los Angeles. Off-screen, White had 2 great passions in her life, including animals of all kinds.
And oftentimes people would come up to her and say, oh, I want to show you a picture of my kids. And she'd say, oh, great. And when they would show them pictures of actual children, she would look so disappointed and say, oh, they're children. She was so hoping for a little lamb.
The great 2-legged love of her life was her husband, password host Alan Ludden. She was a contestant, and he soon enough popped the question.
I said no for a year.
I wasted a whole year of time we could have had together. I might have been a pretty good game player, but I was a dumb lady.
What were she and Alan Ludden like as a couple?
Tremendously loving towards each other. I mean, they were precious to each other.
Why, Betty White.
Why, Alan Ludden?
Well, it's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
When I look on YouTube at the game show, you can just see them, how much they just like each other. They're such
Adored. I think adored is the word.
After Ludden died, White kept on working, hosting Saturday Night Live when she was 88.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
Something Wendy Malick credits to her unfailingly positive outlook.
I remember somebody coming up to her once, I don't remember who it was, and said, "You know what I hate?" And she said, "No, and frankly, I don't care to know." And that was pretty much Betty. She didn't want you to dump your dark woes and worries and angst, and she just wasn't interested in that. It's like you can always find something to be happy or grateful about, and she worked very hard at that, and that was her credo.
Why is she so beloved?
Betty was a deeply good person, something of a higher quality about her that I think everybody sensed. We all kidded around and palled around, but we treated her a little differently, I think. There was something special about her.
I'm honored to be able to say a few words about how truly wonderful she was, because sometimes you're asked to do these things and you have to sort of pull out the good parts and leave the rest behind. With Betty, there's no leaving the rest behind. It's all good.
White worried that people were sick of seeing her on TV. She even speculated this for her gravestone.
At last, she's gone. She finally got off.
But even at 99, Betty White left us wanting more.
Rose, it's not that funny.
I know. I think I better keep the lid on this paint thinner.
All right. Let me tell you about my family.
Hey, here we go now. That time again. Let's take a look and see what's happening. Roller coaster ride, but no surprise. It's like with Louie, Louie, Louie. Like with Louie, Louie, Louie. It's like a likable, lovable, completely huggable. It's like with Louie.
We want to turn now to yesterday's news of the passing of broadcast legend Larry King. We have a remembrance from Lee Cowan.
You pinch yourself, saying, how did all this happen to me?
How old were you when you said, I'm going to run for office?
You're talking about the cream of the crop. Did you ever say to yourself, I'm an alcoholic?
Yes.
Maybe the reason Larry King talked with so many people.
How did they tell you you're going to be a knight?
Is simply because so many people wanted to talk to him.
Larry King now.
That's the intro.
Nearly 60,000 interviews over his 60-year career. Just think about that. He was practically on the air more than he was off it.
Don't make a man.
Sorry, Larry, sorry.
And yet his name was a bit of a misnomer. Larry King never considered himself royalty at all.
Yes.
No baloney. I'm a guy who asks questions. I'm a guy who asks questions. That's all. I'm a guy who's curious.
From the nation's capital, Mutual Radio presents The Larry King Show. Good evening, everybody, on this Friday night.
He started in radio in the late 50s. He told Charles Osgood that broadcasting cast its spell early, when he was just a boy, growing up as Larry Zeiger in Brooklyn.
I'd listen to the radio in my room and run into the bathroom and imitate, and now a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
What a way to make a living.
But it was cable TV where he made conversation an art form, and suspenders a fashion statement.
Do you ever own a jacket?
I own a jacket, yeah, but I just like this look.
Okay, fine, just curious.
Okay.
He asked the questions others wished they'd thought of, but didn't.
Is it hard to drive by the Watergate? Well, I've never been in the Watergate, so it's kind of hard for me. Never been in? Never been in the restaurant? No. Other people were in there, though, unfortunately.
Is that, for you, frustrating to not remember something?
Yes, it's very frustrating.
He could chat it up with anyone, from presidents to pop stars.
Pot is still a part of your life, right?
I mean, 7 days a week. It's my medical marijuana. It's my get up and get going, my wake and bake, my breakfast with champions.
How much do you... Weebies.
Even serial murderers and dictators got the same Larry King everyone did.
What was it like to kill someone?
He had to be the hardest working person in broadcasting, without a doubt.
I don't think there was one day that he felt like it was work.
Let me see the 2-shot, please.
Temi Haddad was Larry King Live's founding executive producer.
You know, he often got criticized for asking softballs, but sometimes the softballs ended up being the hardest questions to answer.
But what Larry did is he made people feel so comfortable that they would end up going beyond their talking points.
What happened with the submarine?
It sunk.
His talent was more listening than asking questions.
Definitely. And when that light came on, his eyes lit up.
You still lean over like always.
And he would laugh, you know, that clucking laugh.
I mean, his toilet's on the roof.
And he'd rub his eyes at a joke, and it was just magical.
He could rival just about any red carpet with his parade of celebrity interviews.
You're in another ballpark, Frank.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And yet he was only really nervous about one, Frank Sinatra.
Why don't you do more interviews?
Nobody invites me.
Got an angel beside me. Whatever.
His interview with Marlon Brando grabbed headlines too. And not just because Brando hardly talked to anyone, and not because the two of them sang together, but for how they ended their interview.
Darling, goodbye. Goodbye.
He just went right in for it, and then he was very proud of it. I kissed Marlon Brando.
The list of those mourning King's passing is as long as his career. Among them, Oprah, Bill Clinton, even the L.A. Dodgers. An avid baseball fan, King loved the Dodgers almost as much as he loved getting married. 8 times, usually to younger women, as the Dalai Lama himself once observed.
Looks much younger.
She's much younger, yes.
Oh, looks like your daughter. Sorry.
Heart troubles and other ailments dogged King for years. He told Mike Wallace that the fear of possibly losing those health battles was what kept him up at night.
What do you worry about? The only thing I worry about is dying.
What do you worry about? You're a boy.
A boy. This universe has been around a long time, and it's going to be around a long time. And I'm here for a blip of it.
Right.
And I want to see it all.
It's good to be the king.
I am so thrilled you're back.
Hello again.
Even after signing off CNN in 2010, he moved his conversations to the internet to make sure he didn't miss a beat.
We'll see if it rolls.
Kept asking questions, always looking for the next great guest. King jokingly wrote in his memoir back in 2009 that there was really only one interview he never got.
And he said God.
You know, there's only one question he'd ask. Why? That's for sure.
So God's in for it this weekend?
Yeah, God's in for it this weekend.
Let's hope he'll roll up his sleeves, hunch over that microphone, and take a caller or two. Imagine the ratings for that.
It happened this past week, the passing of a baseball legend. Hank Aaron died peacefully in his sleep Friday. Born in Mobile, Alabama in 1934, Aaron faced abuse and humiliation as a minor leaguer in the South. But he persevered and made it to the major leagues, playing for the Braves in both Milwaukee and Atlanta for most of his 23-season career.
Straight away. Fastball.
He'll, of course, be remembered first and foremost for breaking one of the most coveted records in all of sports, Babe Ruth's career home run record, hitting number 715 before a hometown crowd in Atlanta in April of 1974.
And particularly for Henry Aaron.
Yet along with the accolades came hate mail and threats, fueled by widespread resentment of a black athlete's toppling of a record set by the iconic Babe Ruth. The backlash took its toll, as Aaron later related in an interview with CBS.
Well, it should have been a great time for me, really. But I had a rough time. It was a horrible year and a half or 2 years that I had to go through.
Aaron retired in 1976 with 755 home runs, a record that stood until 2007. He remained close to the game, working for many years in the Braves front office, and he was inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame in 1982. And in 2002, in recognition of his grace on and off the field, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by George W. Bush. Henry Hammerin' Hank Aaron, widely regarded as one of the greatest baseball players of all time, was 86.
Well, honeycomb, won't you be my baby? Well, a honeycomb be my own. What a darn good life when you got a wife like a honeycomb.
It happened this past week, the loss of two great stars. Cloris Leachman died Wednesday. As a dramatic actress, she won an Oscar for The Last Picture Show.
Why am I always apologizing to you, you little bastard?
But it's for her comic roles that she'll be best remembered, including Young Frankenstein opposite Gene Wilder, and CBS's The Mary Tyler Moore Show, where her portrayal of Mary's neighbor Phyllis won her 2 Emmys.
Thank you, Bobby.
Cloris Leachman was 94. Harlem-born Cicely Tyson was a powerful performer and champion of civil rights. She played a sharecropper's wife in the film Sounder.
Believe me, the children and me will do the cropping. We have to.
And she won 2 Emmys for her portrayal of a woman whose life spanned both slavery and freedom in a CBS television movie. Tyson spoke with our Gayle King just days before she died.
I made up my mind that I could not afford the luxury of just being an actress. I would use my career as my platform.
Tyson received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2016. She died Thursday at 96.
Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you so. Nights in white satin, never reaching the end. Letters I've written, never meaning to send. Beauty I'd always
Red, red wine, you make me feel so fine. You keep me rocking all of the time.
Must we say goodbye?
I don't understand. The official portrait of the president, which shows him next to a globe with the trouble spots of the world marked in black. He's standing next to this black globe. That's what I was wondering.
It happened this past week. The death on Friday of actor Christopher Plummer at his Connecticut home. Born in Canada, the great-grandson of a former prime minister, no less, Plummer trained as a Shakespearean actor.
Sleep, the chance to dream.
Adept at playing princes and kings.
Do you mean to tell me that my children have been roaming about Salzburg dressed up in nothing but some old drapes?
Mm-hmm. But it was as a Navy captain that he achieved his most enduring fame, playing Captain Von Trapp in the 1965 movie musical, The Sound of Music, opposite Julie Andrews.
Excuse me, sir, I don't know your signal.
You may call me Captain.
Plummer was largely dismissive of the movie, despite its success, as in this exchange with our Anthony Mason back in 2011.
Have you ever sang Edelweiss in public after that?
Not on your Nelly. You mean you were hoping, for instance, that if things got dull here, I might sing it for you here now?
I don't know.
It's a wrap.
Still, when it came to his co-star,
For all of the less than nice things you've said about Sound of Music over the years, you've had only nice things to say about
Oh,
her.
well, who wouldn't? I mean, what a professional. I love Julie.
dozens of other roles followed, including a portrayal of CBS's own Mike Wallace.
You corporate lackey. Who told you your incompetent little fingers have the requisite skills to edit me?
I'm gay. I'm gay.
Plummer won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his role as a gay man coming out at age 75 in the 2011 film Beginners.
Christopher Plummer, Beginners.
At age 82 in real life, Plummer was the oldest actor to win an Oscar in a competitive acting category.
You're only 2 years older than me, darling. Where have you been all my life?
With 2 Tonys and 2 Emmys also to his credit, Christopher Plummer was an actor through and through.
Can you hear yourself acting sometimes?
Oh, God, yeah.
What's that like?
God, yes, it's awful. Most of this interview has been acting.
I was afraid of that.
Christopher Plummer was 91.
right, now look, I've been a big fan of To Tell the Truth since I was a kid. And when we were deciding to bring this show back, I knew there was one person that I wanted to be on this show, and it is the lovely and talented Miss Betty White. She's appeared on this show more than 50 times, over 50 years of To Tell the Truth, and no one has played this game better. Let's take a look back at some of the best of Betty on this show.
Thank you, good evening, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth. What is your name, please?
My name is Betty White.
Betty White. Betty White.
The Emmy Award winner for the Golden Girls, Betty White. I'm old Betty White.
I voted for number 2 on the strength of that mustache, I must admit. I think it's number 1 because I look into his eyes and I get a very funny feeling, honey. I mean,
During World War II, I did a lot of research among our Air Force. And where did you learn to play the bagpipes?
Well, I have a master's in fine music from London University.
And you blew it.
Happy.
This is Sue Ann Nivens, your happy homemaker.
Golden.
This is like the long day's journey into light.
Night, Rose.
Night, Dorothy.
And undeniably hot.
I had to wait till I was 88 to find out I have game.
TV Land remembers an exceptional person and a peerless performer.
Is it possible that you are the perfect woman?
Well, I'd say it's very possible.
TV Land remembers Betty White.
I'm the master reptile.